A few weeks ago, I told you, your pictures suck. And now I want to come back and take some of that advice I offered in that video and develop it a little bit further. My first tip in that was to share less. And the first part of sharing less is for you to figure out which pictures are really worth sharing. And I've got a Lightroom workflow that I want to share with you all today. I've imported my pictures, and if you want to know more about the whole setup and import process, I've got a series of Lightroom videos that I'll sell you. They're linked right down below. I've also got a bunch of free Lightroom videos. Those are all linked right down below too. Not only does it go through that, but it goes through serious editing, portraits, landscapes, all of the tips and tricks using all of the different modules up above. It's all available to you, linked right down below. But let's get started. I went out yesterday evening and I shot a handful of pictures, and now I need to go through and quickly figure out which are going to work for me. If you don't use Lightroom, you can still use these kind of same techniques in whatever program works for you. Now I know Lightroom gives you a ridiculous, or maybe in some people's opinion, a very nice way to kind of categorize and keep track of your images through the flag system, the number rating system, and the colors. I honestly try to stay as simple as possible most of the time because it takes extra brain power that I don't want to use to remember, oh, if I make this a 4-star blue, it means I'll use it for this. If I make it a 2-star pick, it means I'll use it for this. No, really just a 1-star is something I want to work on. A 2-star is a shot that I'm going to share with friends and family. A 3-star is going to go to Instagram. So it just kind of works its way up that way. 4 or 5, are just my very favorite pictures, a few each year. And again, I'll stress that point in the video. Share less. Pick just one of multiple different angles and share that. But let's go through and talk about how you can get rid of those images that aren't going to work for you and how you're going to let the good ones kind of rise to the top. I'm in the library module. It's important that you work in the library module because that is a much faster way to breeze through your images. As soon as you switch over to develop module and you're trying to decide between one or the other, it does a much heavier loading in the background so that it's able to work with the image. You don't get that in the library module. And right now I'm in the grid view, and you can change the size of the grid. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger since I have just a few images I'm working with here. And right away I could see that the first 7 or 8 images, or 9 even, they're just junk. Just, I don't know, hit the shutter button when the cap was on, or the shutter speed was way too short for the neutral density filter I had on. I honestly don't even remember, but I need to get rid of them. So in this view I can see them all very nicely. I'm just going to click the first one, hold down shift, click the last one, and I'm going to hit the X key, which marks all of these as rejected. And we'll see what we're going to do with that in just a minute. Now these next group of images, I can't quite tell, so I'm going to double click and start to work through them. I purposefully did shoot them very dark on the Sony, but I want to zoom in and I want to check focus briefly, and I did build standard size thumbnails here, so I have to wait a second for them to load. That looks pretty good. I'm going to leave that as is. This next one is a little bit brighter. Notice I often go back and forth. I'll leave that as is for now as well. This one, I zoom in again. Let's see if it brightens up. You can use the caps lock key to automatically advance you through each of the images whenever you hit either rejected or rating, but I don't like to do that necessarily because I often need to go back and forth. So I might want to work with that one as well. Oh, this one I'm still zoomed in, I can see is blurry. I'm going to reject it. I had some issues with the tripod not being so stable on the soft sand, especially as the tide was coming in and some water. So I have a little bit more softness than I want on some of these images. That might work there. I like the patterns of the lines leading down to the water from the ripples. That one is on the soft side. I'm going to hit reject. Oh, I accidentally 1-starred that. I'll just leave it as is. I thought it was interesting. I love the 360 rule. Whenever you're shooting in one direction, take a moment to look in all directions around you and make sure there's not other interesting subjects. I thought it was looking pretty interesting back behind me. I don't know if that's still true or not. I have 2 of them. One is just brighter than the other one. Let's get rid of the brighter one. And again, just see how I'm going back and forth, kind of deciding which is good. Now, it was raining. I was protected under the, this is a ferry pier here in West Seattle. I really liked this little kind of gutter spout pouring down, but my first composition, I really don't like that it's intersecting that piling in the background. It's going to go. In this next shot, I did a little bit better job of recomposing so that it wasn't, but now it's perfectly lined up with the brown one in the distance. I don't like that either. So I've moved it over a little bit more, and I think that looks pretty good. And then I shot some at various shutter speeds here. I think it's just interesting to see 1/6 of a second, 1/6 of a second, a half a second, 3 seconds, and this was a 3.2 seconds. So I'm going to leave those now. I might use them at some point in the future for some kind of demonstration of shutter speeds, how it affects water flow. So it was really raining outside or out from underneath the terminal, so I did a quick shot to see what it would look like out here. Practice shot, going to get rid of that. And you can see a ferry coming in. I'm also going to consider this a practice shot. This is the curve around, and I will keep that for now. This is the ferry terminal on a very gray day, and again, you can just see the ferry pulling in as a little blurry mess over there. Let's get rid of that. Now, I shot these extremely minimalist images. You can just make out in some of them that there is a little boat over, or actually it's a big boat across the bay, and the hillside there as well. I really like this one though because the hill has disappeared, and so I'm just going to get rid of these others and just keep that one. And then one last one where I was just experimenting. And all right, so now I can go to Photo, delete rejected photos. Now, you don't have to do this right now. You could do it once a month or do it once a week. And if you do it at the top level folder, it's going to delete anything you've marked for rejection. I'm going to do it right now. And it gives you a question. Do you want to delete them from the disk, or do you just want to remove them from the catalog? In my case, I was pretty cautious about what I marked for deletion. It really had to be completely out of focus or a test image that I knew I'd never want to use. Pretty much everything else I kept. And there are, in my mind, absolutely no reason to keep those ever anywhere else. So I'm going to delete them from the disk. I also really like what happens in Lightroom to mirror what happens outside of Lightroom. So I don't want these extra files that Lightroom isn't aware of just taking up space. All right, and now I'm down to a much more manageable number of images. And now this time, I'm going to go through and I'm going to mark ones that I want to work on 1 star. You can see I already marked that one 1 star. This one, I don't think it's going to be 1 star, but I like this one right there. And of course, this last one, where if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen that posted with a little bit of editing to take out those buoys and platforms floating out there and a random duck or two. If you're paying careful attention, you say, well, now you've entered this gray area. You've got ones that you want to work on, but you have ones that aren't marked. Why? At some point in the future, I might want to come back to those. Those are still decent images, but they are either duplicates. I've only picked one of each of these groups, or in some cases, especially when I'm shooting people or other interesting subjects that are a little bit more detailed than this, I might want to pull from some of those other images to create a composite. Maybe I need a little bit of room on my left-hand side of the subject in some shots, and so I can pull from those non-rated ones in the future. But they're going to sit there for now, and I can easily filter this up 1 stars. As I start to edit, then I can decide, is this going to move up to a 2 star and possibly a 3 star to be shared out on Instagram or other social medias in the future. That's it. That's my rating system. That's my workflow for bringing in images, getting rid of the junk, picking the ones that I want to keep, and I'm pretty brutal. And as you saw, I started with something like 50 pictures. No, it wasn't that many. 30. Got rid of about half of those, and now I'm down to just 4 keepers from that walk around. If you want people to think you're a better photographer, you should share just your very best work. And this is a much more manageable amount of images to edit now as well. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, you can hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already a subscriber, you should subscribe so that I can insult you more and tell you your photos suck. No, so that I can give you more concrete advice on improving your photography. That's what we do around here. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.